You could join us now. Angry palace executioners and some police officers at the Sunyani traditional area in the Bono region have been caught in a video assaulting some residents for defying funeral orders in the area. The residents, following the death of their late Queen Mother, Nana Ya Nyama, were expected to comply with some rules that were announced prior to the burial of their queen. Here's another video of the action of the traditional council at the market. Precious Temevo has been following this and says the situation has changed. Precious, what is the situation in the area?
Well, Daniel, the situation in Sunyani since yes has been that of a solemn mood. Everybody is going about his or her duties, especially complying with some restrictions that has been given as part of the directive for the final funeral of the Queen Mother of Sunyani traditional area. Indeed, there's videos circulating on social media, as we understand, mostly happened on Tuesday. But as the news about the traditional council, together with the funeral planning committee, as well as the regional police command, met, to discuss how to forestall some of these things happening. And as we understand, even the palace guards themselves and then the planning committee, they effected 2 arrests of people they are alleging that infiltrated their ranks and have sent them to the police. And the police have indeed confirmed these arrests to help them in investigations. They've condemned the attack. They have said that it is not something that they sanctioned, but people took the law into their own hands. And as we understand, the police is also saying that they will deal with anyone found to have gone contrary to the laid down procedure. But the situation in Sunyani is calm. Yesterday, I stayed in town up to about 10 p.m. and there was nothing to report about. People were just going about their usual things. Although that is not a normal, evening or night in Sunyani, but people were just going about their normal duties. Most of them are in black. But if you get close to the funeral grounds, everybody in either black or red. And this morning too, there's absolutely nothing to report about us. Our situation remains calm, with the police high on alert together with the funeral planning committee. And Daniel, I understand from my sources within the planning committee of the funeral that they are just about releasing another statement to clarify some other issues. And as soon as we get our hands on that, we'll get the general public in on that.
Now, Precious, you spoke to the police. What more do you have from those quarters?
Well, the police, particularly the regional crime officer, Nana Koku, he confirmed an impression created in one of the trending videos that MTTD guards assaulted a man who is alleged to be a police officer. But that is not the situation. The man who appeared to be a police officer is rather a private security guard who their attire is blue black. So from the video, it appeared that the person is a police officer, but he confirmed that the 2 or 3 MTTD officers found in the video have been interdicted to assist in investigations, and they are not going to spare anyone found involved in all those acts. But he said that the situation is under control, and they are ensuring that people take part in the final funeral rites of Nana Ya Nyama, the Queen Mother of Sunyani, from now until Saturday.
Thank you very much, Precious Temevo. Let's now hear the regional crime officer for the Bono region.
I'm paying. Regional Police Command, immediately share Nananum representative. We say I'm funny man to 2 for me. I work with fat and send me about. Oh, I'm saying, him say, a year, I come a kaboom. I want to need now, the whole video, you say, it's a Obi or shot idea to say police me. And the two going so I have no police here and a price of the mecan. Am I the future grandma almost only a brafon and Kaase? Now, say who will be a say on share black on share red near go attacking. You know who will be a chum a cop, baby. The no Kaase almost so am my assurance say only a brafon of Kaase. Now, Omo said obviously go about Omo duties, no. Uncle for how and now you be Emma will be
Away from that, an operation by the Small-Scale Mining Task Force has uncovered dredging boats in their numbers on River Ankobra in the Western region. The boats, known as Shamfai, are largely responsible for contamination of river bodies. The latest revelation comes after the task force had destroyed about 250 of them in a 2-day operation in parts of the region. The Small-Scale Mining Task Force believes faceless financiers of illegal mining are fighting back to get new boats into the rivers. Nana Aljima traveled with the team on the anti-galamsey operation to Prestia and its environs and filed this report.
One Shamfai boat costs at least 15,000 cedis, but illegal miners dare to acquire them to dredge for gold in rivers. Members of the task force pull a Shamfai boat to the bank of the river for distraction. Others go after defiant dredgers who decided to stay put despite the presence of the task force. Enchi Abre is a resident here.
They came to this place on the boat. We asked them to leave, but they refused. We went to report them to the task force of Prestia. They got wind of their coming and left. We returned after days. We tried to do it ourselves, but they outnumbered us.
Members of the task force pursued the dredgers and arrested 3 of them on the river. 2 of them admitted to have traveled from the Volta region to the west to man a boat here. The other claims to have gone there to help them pack their machines out of the place.
Boss, day for yours. Agbe is your boss. So Agbe who built the machine for you. Senior man day. Who is the senior man? He day for where? He day for yours. You don't know him. You are working with somebody, but you don't know that person. You don't know the person that you are working with. Only Agbe that you know. Okay.
The presence of the machines stretch along the river for as far as the eye can see. They are operational all week, except on Fridays. More Shamfai equipment continue to be discovered here on the Ankobra River. The task force are now going after these Shamfai equipment, even though their operators or owners are nowhere to be found. Daily dredging of the waterbed by many groups has caused the river to lose its natural clean look to deep brown side. Now, Ankobra, which is the main source of water for the people of Container and Rioso, is virtually unusable. Those who have no option have to fetch the water and allow it to settle before they drink. Others buy sachet water or resort to ponds and other unwholesome sources as alternatives. Here is Mr. Abre speaking for residents once again.
Yeah, but when we moved here, the river was very clean and we used it for everything. Now we no more use them. Sometimes we treat it with alum before we use.
About 201 engines were destroyed here at Rioso and Container after some had been dismantled on the first day at Himai. Suspects arrested, together with 6 pumping machines and the motorbike seized in the operation, were handed over to the police. Leader of the task force, Bracey Ando, is saddened at the level of pollution of the river.
And as you can see, the dredge machines are over 200. And in fact, I'm very sad because driving these people away is not easy. It's not an easy task. But so far as we have promised Ghanaians that we will help to sanitize the system, we will not stop.
After hours of pursuing illegal miners and their equipment, the overwhelmed but exhausted task force had to retreat for the day. For JoyNews, Nana Ojima reporting.
Still in the sector, an unannounced visit by Lands and Natural Resources Minister Kweku Asumatreme appears to give credence to concerns by a section of Ghanaians that the war on illegal mining is crumbling in spite of the many interventions. The illegal miners have outwitted the lean team of the Forestry Commission to destroy 80 hectares of the 15,823 hectare forest reserve in the western region town of Amiase in Suta. Latif Idris has been traveling with the sector minister.
It was the Oda Forest Reserve in January 2020. About 7 hectares of that forest reserve was pillaged by illegal miners. Today, it is the Fury River Forest Reserve in the western region. 80 hectares of the 15,283 hectares of forest reserve has been pillaged by illegal miners who we are told operate deep at night.
Combined with the staff strength, the Forestry Commission staff strength here, we adopt a strategy with informants, and then those equipment are retrieved and most of the people are arrested. What is not motivating us enough is the punitive measures given by the court. Recently, you can see, as I told you, 7 people were arrested here. Precisely where we are just the Fury River. So all the punishment the court gave was 700 Ghana cedis as a penalty, and it was not motivating enough for our boys, because to gather resources and then arrest armed people, retrieve 2 pump machines, and at the end, at the risk of your life, and the court to award a penalty of 700 cedis for 600 cedis for the people to go scot-free, I think that is not motivating enough.
Dozens of artificial ponds created from abandoned mine outpits dotted the heavily battered forest reserve. One of the topical issues in the fight against illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey, has to do with the missing of some seized excavators. Responding to questions about the number of excavators that have been confiscated or sold, Mr. Asumatreme said,
"No excavator has been sold, of which I am aware of. As I speak to you now, I'm yet to take full inventory together with the committee in charge of, interministerial committee, to ascertain the figures involved. You know, the law was recently amended just last year to give the Minister of Mines that opportunity to take charge of all such equipment. So I have spoken to my brother Frempong Boateng, my colleague, to go all out with my ministry so that we take inventory of such equipment, and then a formal handing over is made to the ministry. So as I talk to you now, I cannot best tell the number of excavators.
Forgive my ignorance, but I want to find out how much has been spent so far in the fight against illegal mining.
Unless I look at my record, I cannot tell. It comes as part of budget per a year. So if you calculate from 2017, we will know, but it is on paper. So until I refresh my memory, I will not be in a position to tell you the exact figure that we have expended on.
In a position to estimate?
No, I cannot estimate. I don't want to get it wrong.
Thank you.
Away from illegal mining, portions of an audio recording in which a voice alleged to be that of NDC National Chairman Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo threatening violence was today played at Anakra High Court. The recording, lasting well over 10 minutes, is an interview journalist Benjamin Osei-Ampofo had with a member of the NDC's communications team, Kweku Buahin. In the course of that interview, Mr. J appeared to be, Mr. J played to the hearing of Mr. Buahin part of the leaked tape where a voice alleged to be that of Mr. Ampofo was heard saying, "We'll target some people and let them know that their life is in danger." Mr. J is the first witness to testify in the case to which the National NDC chairman and Mr. Buahin are accused of conspiring to assault a police officer, a public officer, and assault of a public officer. Court correspondent Joseph Akable was in court as the recording was played and joins us with more. Joseph, first, we know what the contents of the 10 minutes recording were. Did the lawyers oppose to it, and was it accepted by the court?
Joseph, the lawyers raised some opposition to the acceptance of the recording as evidence. The point that was made by Dr. Bamba, who represents Mr. Buahin, is that part of the interview that was played has a recording which he says is a recording of a private conversation. And so he says that which is portions of the Constitution that protects people's privacy and allows such recordings to be done only when there is a crime alleged in the form or in the interest of the state. And so he asked that the court rejects the audio recording. But the state prosecutors, Chief State Attorney Isiama Sampon, objected to that particular point. He was of the view that this is an important recording. It's relevant to the case, and in terms of it being an interview that the witness had with the second accused person, also accepted because it's relevant to the case. Justice Samuel Siedu admitted the recording to evidence, ruling that it's relevant to the case, and it doesn't see how this amount to it. And once the witness had admitted that this is the interview he had with the second accused person, the court said it's admissible and will proceed to admit it to evidence. So the recording was accepted into the evidence of the court. Daniel.
Joseph, thank you very much for that update. We move to other stories now. Ashanti Region Security Council has assured of adequate measures to prevent escalation of violence between two feuding factions over installation of chief butcher at Kaase in Kumasi. Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah says REGSEC is studying a report by an investigative committee for appropriate action on the matter. The assurance comes as 16 people arrested in connection with Tuesday's violent clashes await prosecution. Oheming Teria of our security desk has more.
Police military deployment restored calm after scores of butchers were injured after misunderstanding broke out over who should be installed the chief butcher. A 3-member committee led by the regional chairman of the Peace Council had started work before the latest incident. Meanwhile, following REGSEC's meeting on Wednesday, the claimants to the contentious chief butcher position had refrained from holding themselves as such.
The decision was taken to form a 3-member committee to look into the issue. They even presented their report today at the meeting of the Regional Security Council. We are now going to study and look at the recommendations for implementation. We've told the installed chief butcher that brought the problem that he should not go there again and work as a chief butcher. If the issue is with being a chief, let's separate the two things so that he comes there, does his work, and also earn a living. But he will not come and say, I'm coming maybe to occupy the seat of a chief butcher, or maybe he's going to the office that is allocated to the chief butcher. No, he will go, he can go and operate as ordinary butcher as he used to be until the issue is totally resolved. But we want to resolve in such a way that it doesn't escalate.
Mr. Osei-Mensah also appealed to the media, especially Alpha Radio and Zuria FM, to be circumspect in their reportage on the issue in order not to inflame passions.
I'm begging 2 radio stations, even though it's going to all other radio stations, but I'm making a fervent appeal to Zuria FM and Alpha Radio. I beg you, don't inflame passions. Give us the opportunity to resolve this. I beg you. Some of the comments, when you hear, is not the best. Please, please. So let's be very circumspect in the way we comment on this issue. We will definitely resolve it. There is a very sensitive issue, and all of us will have to be very careful.
From Kumasi for Joy News, Ohimintiwia reporting.
Still live on Joy News today, now Majority Leader Osechi Mensah-Bonsu has defended the Speaker's threat of sanctions against the media yesterday, insisting it doesn't amount to an infringement on the media's rights. Prof. Okwe warned yesterday that journalists who report from outside the chamber whilst proceedings are ongoing will have their accreditation withdrawn. The Majority Leader says every house has rules that need to be obeyed. He, however, insists the comment was friendly advice. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo joins us live. Joseph, the Majority Leader has been insisting he owes the media no apology. What else have the leaders been saying?
He makes the point that when it comes to proceedings in the House, the media should remember that they are here at the behest of the Speaker of Parliament. And so him being the third gentleman of the land, what he asks is something that should be taken seriously. He says what the Speaker sought to do yesterday was to ensure that happenings in the House and proceedings and how the media covers various activities are not skewed in any way and that they don't go wrong. And so the media attention to that. But he went on to say that as far as he's concerned, what the Speaker said yesterday was more of a friendly advice from a father figure to people who work within the presence of the House. And so it shouldn't be construed to mean a situation of Parliament trying to gag journalists in the way that they do their work. But additionally, the Minority Leader, Haina Idrisu, has also been making similar points, and he says that even if any third party has the intention of more like muscling the media in any way, he thinks that it's something that will not be good for the country's democracy. So the media can count on himself and the Majority Leader as people who continually defend the rights of the media.
Right. So has the Speaker himself addressed this issue?
He did. It's the first issue he sought to deal with, even as he's been sitting to deliberate on other businesses this particular morning. And he's been reiterating that when he gave the advice yesterday, he sought to ensure that portions of it as well went to members of Parliament generally so they don't engage in any activities like media briefings during sittings on the floor. And he went on to reiterate that something that he doesn't want to see is a situation where the sitting is happening and journalists are dealing with other matters outside. And he even drew an analogy with how things happen in the palace of the chief. And he said you can't be invited to the palace of a chief to cover an assignment and choose to ignore that and do other things when you are in the chief palace. And he says he's been a defender of media freedom since 1967, and he will not be the one to begin infringing on the rights of media practitioners, but he expects that they respect the House of Parliament and do things that will be in the interest of the House in that.
So basically what he said yesterday about withdrawing the accreditation of members of Parliament, of a parliamentary correspondent, still stands?
That he didn't go back to when he sought to reiterate the point. He didn't mention the bit about withdrawing accreditation when he spoke today, except to say that the admonition that he gave that let no one conduct interviews and also do press conferences and cover press conferences while the sitting is ongoing on the floor is what he reiterated and made the point that he thinks that will be in the general interest of Parliament and Ghana process.
Thank you, Joseph Akable, for joining us with that. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, pardon me, for joining us with that. We moved to our Arrive Alive campaign and 8 people were injured, 4 of them in critical condition in an accident involving a passenger bus and articulated truck early today at Boidi Junction in Kumasi. Driver of the Kumasi-bound bus from Aflao reportedly lost control of the wheels after hitting the rear of the truck at a newly constructed intersection. The bus fell on its side into the ditch, leaving passengers, mostly traders, in traumatic condition. My colleague, Ohiming Teria, who arrived at the scene moments after the incident, has more.
Hopes of passengers reaching their destination within minutes after traveling all the way from Lome in Togo on a business trip suddenly dashed. The bus on which they were traveling skidded off the road, leaving them in moments of scare. Here is an eyewitness who says he was awakened by the boom sound of the falling bus.
After having my bath, I just entered my room, and then what I heard was the sound of a brake. Then the next sound that I heard was a hefty sound, boom. So when I came out, I heard people shouting, screaming, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. I didn't know what's up. So I stepped outside of the school and I saw the bus outside. I was like, oh, it's an accident. So I came closer and I saw some of the passengers out, bleeding, including the driver. They were all screaming, call this, call that, emergency lines. And people were actually saying that it wasn't the bus's fault. It was the fault of the next car. The car had to wait for the bus to pass through, and the car was unable to wait. So it just hit the bus, and the bus unbalanced itself, then fell from the side. But then as time went on, what I was hearing was, oh, at least there was no death that transpired.
Now, Ghana's main case management center for the COVID-19 virus says it has not had any supply from the National Water Company for close to a year. The hospital explains it is as a result having to spend more than 3,000 Ghana cedis every week to buy water into its reservoirs. This, they say, does not bode well for the critical condition it has to play in keeping the deadly coronavirus out of Ghana. PSA Nanaya Osafo has more.
Imagine going a day without water, none to drink, have a bath, or prepare meals with. It is truly an unhealthy outcome, even worse when the facility in question is a hospital, where the utilities needed to clean wounds, mop floors of wards, and to keep surgical instruments free of infection.
Yeah, it's not flowing.
Tremantin Benson is administrative manager at the Tema General Hospital.
These challenges for the past 1 year.
TGH is the biggest health facility in the Tema metropolis with 24-hour specialist and general medical services. It was designated a coronavirus case management center last month. It might seem prepared for the global epidemic, yet an administrator there who prefers to remain anonymous opens up about its local water problems.
It's an issue because patients come, the washrooms needs to be closed because there is no water to flush. Most often the Ghana Water Company lines doesn't flow at all. And so the hospital made arrangement to get a backup. So we engaged the private tankers and we spend no less than 3,000 cedis at least every week.
That is an estimated 150,000 cedis of the hospital's revenue spent on water each year, even though it is supposed to be supplied by the Ghana Water Company. The administrator, however, insists this should not affect the hospital's preparedness to contain coronavirus cases, but there.
Maybe the fact that Ghana Water is not supplying water, we have nothing to do. We have the Veronica bucket, like I said, where we store water so that in case there is any need for you to wash your hands, that can be a backup plan. And then also we have the alcohol hand wash, which also we have put in place to ensure there is thorough hand washing.
Is it adequate?
Of course it is.
Staff and families of patients who spoke with JoyNews, however, disagree with the hospital management. They describe the situation as unbearable and have called for authorities to immediately intervene.
In the OPD here, you know, we have one of the commercial washrooms here. So like when there isn't enough water flowing or water is not flowing, you know this awful smell, yes. It comes to the whole OPD, which is not appealing. So we'll plead to the government and then the health sector if they can aid the facility in implementing most of our water issues. And then most of the patients, they tend to develop this body odor when there isn't enough water or shortage of water.
It is embarrassing for a hospital of this repute to continuously be in this situation, she says. There is no water available most times. You can only imagine the blood and state of the mothers who deliver here. We are calling on authorities to act immediately. Water is so hard to get sometimes. We have to search and search till we reach our only option, sometimes a mortuary facility close by.
The
Ghana Water Company in Tema could not be reached for comment, even though they conceded they are aware of the challenge. Meanwhile, patients and their families are having to bring in their own water to complement hospital efforts. PSC Nanaya Safo, Joy News.
Still live on Joy News today. Coming up in business, receiver of defunct microfinance and savings and loans companies confirms payments ongoing to fully settle over 352,000 claims. Stay with us.